Hey sewing friends, so I just made another cashmerette Turner dress because I absolutely love this pattern. It's one of my TNTs. I think that it just fits me and looks so great on me. And as I'm putting it together, it comes together really quick. It's actually a very good palette cleanser because it's a very easy sew, and as I'm putting it together, I realized that I'm actually doing a couple of tips and tricks that I have learned along the way that I actually took a couple of years for me to learn. So I thought, if for some of you new sewists out there, that I would share some of I guess my tips and tricks that I have learned, which have really enhanced my sewing and made my garments look better, hang better, and last longer. So, as I said, I made the cashmerette Turner dress, and I made it out of a viscose jersey, jersey from Lady McElroy. It is this black background with these green leaves. And one of the things that I did, and that I always do when working with knits, is you do need to stabilize the shoulders. But in addition to stabilizing the shoulders, I also stabilize the neckline as well as the armholes. And I learned that in a couple of places. The first place I learned about it was in Linda Lee's Sewing Knits book. And you will see that she talks about stabilizing the shoulder seams and the neckline. And then she also mentions there's other places where you might want to stabilize, such as the waistband, necklines, shoulder seams, waistlines. Now I actually do the arms as well. And the reason I do stabilize my armholes, I guess, is because when I was taking the Tailor Academy classes, the online Tailor Academy classes, he had us do the same thing. Use stabilizer around the neckline, the shoulder seams, and the armholes. And actually, he said anywhere you want some stabilization. And you might say, well, why do I need to stabilize the neckline or the armholes? And a lot of it has to do with to prevent the, I guess, the gaping or the stretching out, because a neckline is cut on a curve, and as it's cut on a curve, there are going to be some spots on that curve where it actually is cut on the bias. Even though you lay it on the straight of grain, because there's a curve, part of that curve is lying on the bias, so it can easily be stretch out, and then it'll get larger and longer than what the pattern intended it to be. And so there's a couple of ways that you can stabilize it. Some patterns will say to go ahead and do a stay stitch inside the seam line, and that's about all I've ever seen or all I've ever read or been exposed to in my sewing journey. Is they'll talk about stay stitching. But what I do is I use the So Keezy. This is a knit stay tape, although I also have a woven stay tape. Now, I am not associated with this at all. I'm not selling anything. I'm just telling you what I use. And I actually get this off of Amazon. I just Google or I search the So Keezy, and then I choose whatever I need. Now this, because it's just a black knit stay tape, it's a very fine. And because this has a lining, I can't show it to you, but I did just stabilize the front neckline. I don't know if you can see that. The front neckline around the arms, and then the back neckline. And then for the shoulder seams, I don't think I can show you. Rather than use the stay tape, which is fine, you can, that's perfectly fine, I chose to use, where is it? A 1/4 inch clear elastic, because it just adds a little bit more stability. And I don't know if you've ever seen that commercial where a guy's going on a blind date and he takes off his sweater and his t-shirt has this really saggy neckline, and the blind date that he's on kind of gives him the look like, oh, you look like a slob, or, you know. And they're saying that it's because it got out of shape due to washing. Well, That might be the case, but I also know if he had stabilized if that t-shirt had been stabilized with some stay tape, it probably wouldn't have gotten as stretched out during the laundry. And so that's one tip that I thought I would pass on to you is whatever you're making, just take the extra step of stabilizing your neckline, your shoulder seams, and your armholes, or anywhere you feel that you might need some sort of stabilization where you want to make sure the fabric doesn't start to stretch or to sag. Now, another thing I did with this dress, which is not in the instructions, and I do this with just about every skirt that I make, is I added a lining to it. Okay, I didn't have black. I did have enough black to line my bodice. Now, this particular pattern, it does tell you to self-line the bodice, but I just used a black mesh that I had in my stash. And then I didn't have enough to do the skirt lining in the black. This is like a black stretch nylon. It's a John Caldor, I guess, stretch nylon that I got from So Essential website. But I did have it in white, so I went ahead and added that. And the reason I add a lining to every skirt I make is because, for one, the dress just hangs better on you, regardless of how heavy the fabric is or how thin it is. If you add a lining, it's just going to hang a lot neater and a lot cleaner. It's going to give the whole garment a better look. So if you have the time and you have the fabric, I would just go ahead and line every skirt or dress that you're going to make. Another reason I decided to line this one is this is a viscose jersey, and because it's sort of black with this green, it's a darker dress. I do plan on wearing this in the winter time, and I will probably wear it with tights. And as such, I just don't want the tights and the jersey to stick together when I'm walking or when I'm sitting. And also, this sounds sort of silly. I'm not trying to be funny or anything, because it has happened to me and I've seen it happen to other people as well. Sometimes when you're wearing a rather thin or clingy skirt material and you sit down and you're sitting for a while and the body has enough time to warm the chair, and depending on what the pattern is, you get up and the material goes between your butt crack. Another reason to line your skirts and dresses. So again, I do it because it hangs better. I think it looks better overall than an unlined garment. It helps keep you warm if you're going to be wearing it in the winter, and then if it's a nice silk lining, it'll help keep you cool in the summertime. Because I'm wearing tights, or plan to wear tights with this, it'll help not stick to my tights. And then also, this actually is a very thin material. I can see the light in the camera through this. I doubt that you can see anything through this. But yeah, I don't want the light in the office to be at a certain angle or something, and people being able to see through my skirt. So that's another little tip or trick that I learned along the way, which I wish I had done on a lot of my earlier skirts or dresses that I made. Another little tip or trick that I did is when I hemmed the sleeves and the bottom of the skirt, I did it with a double-sided hem tape. So again, it is so easy, and I'll show you. This one is their double-sided fusible, they call it stay tape, I call it a hem tape, but it's the same thing. And what you do is it comes, let me show you. And this lasts a long time, so you know, it's not really all that expensive. And then you can probably hem, oh gosh, I probably hemmed tons of t-shirts, bottoms, sleeves, dresses, and all. So what it is you just iron this on along the edge of your dress or your sleeve or whatever you want to hem. You iron it on and then you peel it off, and what it does is it leaves a little bit of, let me see, little bit of like glue on it. So then you fold it over and you just iron it, and it pretty much sticks. Now this I did last night. I haven't quite completely finished this, so it's kind of coming up in some places, but then it sticks and it gives you this nice neat hem, so you don't have to go around and measure and pin. It's just super easy. And then I'm just planning on taking my cover stitch, and then I will just go ahead and do the stitching all the way around to keep it in place, the hem in place. I do that for the hem, and then I also do it here for the sleeves. And again, it just holds everything nice and neat, gives you a nice clean finish. You don't have to, again, get your pins and your ruler and measure to make sure that your hem is even. And then you just iron it and then go around either with a sewing machine or a cover stitch, and you just sew it in place. And the last thing I did on this dress, which is not in the instructions, is that when I connected the bodice to the skirt, is I did so, and I left this on purpose to show you. Again, when I serged, I added some clear elastic all the way around. And again, I got this off of Amazon. I just searched 1/4 inch clear elastic, and there's a way you can do this. Now you can do it if you don't have a serger. I've done it with my sewing machine. If it's your serger, you just want to go ahead and put it in through the little your presser foot, and it'll grab hold, and then it just surges and pulls it as it goes through. I have had to use this when I'm doing wovens and I'm not serging. I would do it with the sewing machine. Again, you just put it between the two, that little opening that's on your presser foot. That requires a little bit more skill because you sort of have to keep it in place. The machine isn't going to pull it as neatly as the serger will. But again, by adding that around the waistline, it ensures that this is not going to start drooping. The skirt is not going to start drooping, or because this is a viscose jersey, it does have the ability to just get bigger and bigger as the day goes on and as you wear it and wear it. Having the clear elastic around the waistband doesn't really add any more bulk, but it does make sure that the dress is going to keep its shape, and it's going to just stay, as I said, it's going to just look fresher and nicer for longer. And that's something, again, that I just sort of learned through my experience with sewing. It's something I never really saw in any of my pattern instructions, but it's something that's been explained to me in either sewing courses that I've taken or other, I guess, professionals or instructors that I've met or talked with along the way in my sewing journey. So I'm sure this was nothing new to some of you, but if you are a beginning sewist, I hope that you found some of these tips helpful and that you can incorporate them into your sewing, and hopefully it'll give you some good results, because it has really given myself some good results. So I will talk to you next time. Take care, sewing friends. Bye.